Well, Roland Martin is at it again, picking fights with other Black commentators. This time he decided to target Vicki Dillard from the African Diaspora channel. I don't think this is the first time he's targeted her, but she did issue a response to him that I think is worth listening to. What people have to understand is that you do have some of the Black commentators like Roland Martin that came from corporate media and for whatever reason were kicked out of that space, right? Like he was removed from CNN. I think something that has something to do with the LGBTQ community or whatever, something he messed up there. And then also don't forget that he was the one that was giving Hillary Clinton debate questions behind the scenes. So it's always interesting to me when those individuals pretend as though other Black media does not exist, or when they do acknowledge that it does exist, they want to throw shade at them because they're not in those groups. They're not in those social circles where they're doing interviews with Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton and those figures. They're not rubbing the same elbows, so to speak. But I also think it's interesting with all of these things that are said on camera. It seems like whenever you press Roland Martin publicly to have this conversation one-on-one, he does not want to do so. What people have to understand is that this in particular, with people like Roland, this is not about being pro-Black. It's about being pro-Democrat. And I think that Vicki shows this so well. Check this out, guys. So she did respond to him.
Somebody, well, you all tagged me because I don't be paying these different kinds of entities any mind, but this was harder to ignore. And whenever I discuss Roland, it's not because he's powerful or important or because I'm giving him undue attention. Roland serves as a proxy for the entire Democratic Party and any of the boule folk that seek to control us. Old, dead, useless Black media, Black politicos that seek to still control us. Any remnants of that mess that we are throwing away, blowing away, mopping away, bleaching away, Lysoling away, setting on fire, whatever you want to, however you want to do your cleansing and stuff. I just remind whatever little remnants is still lingering out in the atmosphere. That's the reason why I address him, so that the force that's behind him, to whatever little degree it exists, we want to always keep them in check to let them know it's still not working. And it is our unique power. So Roland went from mocking us to he can't keep my name out of his mouth. So just recently he came out and said this. Are y'all ready? I'm gonna put this before the screen. Like I said, I won't be long, but I will be strong. Yes, y'all listen to this. Let me make sure. Can you hear this?
You know, when you sit elections out, you get what you get. And for the people who go, oh my God, I didn't think it was gonna go this far. I mean, again, you can't say they didn't tell you. They said it. We warned people. Y'all shilling. Y'all know who y'all are. Y'all know.
Pause. So first and foremost, let me just go ahead and add something here. He said, when you sit elections out, the majority of Americans don't vote. The majority of Black Americans don't vote. That's not something that's new. But instead of asking why some Black voters decided to sit this election out, or maybe why some of them voted Republican or why some voted third party, Roland Martin wants to just focus on the fact that they did not support his buddy, Kamala Harris. Similar to when he wondered why they didn't support his buddy, Hillary Clinton, right? Why didn't you? You should have just done what we told you to do. You should just take what we give you. And I want to be very clear about something. Until the Democratic Party learns to do right by working class people and also Black people and Black working class people, you will continue to have these issues. You will continue to lose. Roland Martin knows this, but he doesn't want to say that because that's not what his audience isn't going to be okay with hearing that. So it's not about he's sitting up there with the t-shirt on that says Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I agree. But that's not what this is about. It's not about Black Lives Matter for Roland Martin. For Roland Martin, this is about being pro-Democrat, not pro-Black. Roland Martin's the same person who wants you to sit up there and vote for Democrat politicians who don't have any agenda that's going to improve Black communities in this country. Because it's not about being pro-Black, it's about being pro-Democrat. Always remember that.
If I had to do a roll call for all them simple Simon Negroes, yeah. If I had to, oh, don't get me started. I could run the tables on Vicki Dillard, Boyce Watkins, Tariq Nasheed, Umar Johnson, Philip Scott. Oh yeah, Black Authority. Oh yeah. Look at them, they shilling. Look at them, they shilling for the Democrats. They just chill. Yeah, look at y'all just shit.
So if he feels as though that he could run tables around those people, then why doesn't he do that? Why doesn't he sit down for a debate? Or hell, it doesn't even have to be a debate. Why does he sit down for a conversation with those people and do just that? What he said, run circles around them. Why doesn't Roland do that? Because he's scared. You see, he didn't just come after them. He came after me last year because I didn't want to support Kamala Harris. He came after me on Twitter. He called me, he said, you're stupid and you're just a YouTube host. Like that motherfucker not on YouTube. That's the part that just drove me crazy. You don't see me out here trying to pretend like I'm something big and grand. I tell you the same thing I always say. I host a show called Sabby Sabs Podcast on YouTube. I don't give myself no grand title, but he was acting like I did. He has millions of subscribers on YouTube. I even saw a Roland Martin ad on Twitter. Why do you have an ad on Twitter when you have over 1 million subscribers? Who you need to advertise to? Hello. So why are you paying so much attention to channels that have less subscribers than you do? So it's always, I can do this, I can run circles around these people. But whenever he is asked to have a conversation, when he came after me, I said, you're more than welcome to come on my show and have this conversation with me and my audience. Actually would have given him an opportunity to talk to my audience and tell them why he thinks they should support Kamala. But he didn't want to do that because he's scared. Everyone's big and bad when they're by themselves. Everyone's big and bad when they're not facing the people that they want to run circles around. But when you are invited to have that conversation, you run away. He was coming after me. It is just crazy. Because I didn't want to support Kamala Harris. He found me on YouTube, or not on YouTube, on Twitter, and started coming after me because I didn't want to support Kamala Harris. Motherfucker, you gave me more attention. A lot of people didn't even know who I was. He gave me more attention by doing that. When Jamal Green approached Roland Martin in person and said, you had all that to say about me on Twitter. Here I am in real person. Why don't you come talk to me? He ran away. It's on camera. Look it up. So like I said, you ain't running circles around nobody. You ain't running circles around nobody. Because, and that's the thing, unlike Roland Martin, one thing I will say about the other people he's talking about, they seem to be more willing to engage in conversation with people that they may disagree with. I may not agree with them on everything politically. We may not agree on everything politically, but one thing I can say that they want what's best for Black Americans. They want what's best for Black communities. They want Black communities to have improvements to thrive in the future. I can say that. I don't even know if Roland really want that. I think Roland just wants you to be a simp for the Democratic Party. Let's continue.
But ask Breonna Taylor, mama, how she feel today. Ask Tamika Mallory and the folks at Until Freedom who literally moved to Louisville, fighting 5 years trying to make this thing happen. Folk who
did you ask any of the people that went to prison because of Kamala Harris's truancy laws in California? Did you ask any of those people how they felt? Did you ask any of the family members of people that were impacted by Kamala Harris's policies in California, how she targeted predominantly Black families? Did you ask them how they felt? Did you ask any of the people that were locked up for having weed under Kamala Harris's policies in California? Did you ask all those people who had their lives ruined over grass how they felt? No, see that. So again, it's not about being pro-Black. It's about being pro-Democrat.
That's the time and energy. Got COVID. Folks were sick and all that sort of stuff. But we listened to a whole bunch of folk, Nola. Yeah, y'all just chilling. Y'all out there, y'all trying supporting Kamala. She ain't doing nothing. We ain't backing her with. Oh, they were all running their mouths. But it's amazing how silent they are today. They ain't saying nothing, Nola, about Trump screwing those Black folks in Lowndes County who got sewage backing up in their houses. They ain't saying nothing about the Black folks in Cancer Alley where they canceled the lawsuit who've been dying because of the petrochemical companies there. They ain't saying nothing about the Black folks who got screwed for voting rights and housing rights in Texas. Oh, they ain't saying nothing about them.
These channels talk about what's happening to Black communities all the time. I know African Diaspora Network talks about what's happening to Black communities all the time. So that's just a lie. Let's go on.
They ain't saying a damn thing about them wanting to get rid of the DBE federal program. They ain't saying nothing about any of this stuff. They ain't saying jack. And these are same folk who love talking about fight. We gonna have a topic coming up next. They ain't saying nothing how under a Democrat appointee on the FCC changed the damn law when it came to how many folks were getting overcharged for making phone calls in prison. Republicans got in and said, no, we throwing that out. We're just going to discuss that next. I'm sorry. I forgot, Nola, what no tangibles. Yeah.
Family. First of all, my apologies. I did not do the proper disclaimer that there was going to be something disturbing appearing on your screen. So if you got babies, I do apologize. My bad. I'm a 46-year young woman. I know if I had babies, I would want somebody to show me the respect, to give me the heads up, and I do apologize. That was my mistake. I'm sorry for the type of pictorial violence you just witnessed there. Some of y'all said, well, Vicki, was it nudity? Was it cuss? No, baby, but it's his own brand of violence. Him being himself, beloved, is a devastation enough. Talk Black to me, somebody. Beloved, I just want to show you all how the powers that shouldn't be still putting him up to keep my name out of his mouth. I'm the first one that just flew out his mouth like that. And it's so funny. So a journalist messaged me, a pretty well-known Black journalist messaged me, wanting to know, why does he just keep my name? Child, he always has my name in his mouth. It's like a ghost. And it's because we're the true influence and power that affected the past presidential election, Senate, and House of Representatives. And we're the ones that initially mobbed. And now they're trying to copycat. They're trying to invade these spaces and infect them with folks like him, entities like him. Talk Black to me, somebody. Now, Roland, some of you all know that I can always drag him, but there's no reason to. Some of you may not know the story. I was just trying to tell you all where he came from, where he emerged from the underworlds, a rejected part of the underworlds. I don't even have a problem with the underworlds, but there are places in the underworlds where they got you locked up because you affect the underworlds in a negative sense. And that's Roland's pedigree, his heritage. And so Rolanda Martina, Rolanda Martina. But it's funny looking self has always been an anti-Black voice. Now I exposed the fact that Roland's name and emails and information came out during the WikiLeaks release. Some of you all are saying the WikiLeaks release that exposed the United States government and other nations that was doing illegal stuff around the world and murdering and killing people and committing all kinds of war crimes and stuff. Yes, Roland's name came up in there, along with the Hillary Clinton emails. Some of you all don't understand that while he was fronting in the face of Black Americans, you all didn't know that he was behind the scenes doing the little dirty work of the Hillary Clinton campaign for debates and stuff. And then Roland, when he initially came out, denied it full throat. He gave a full throat denial. And then when they found out that they had more information on it, he changed the story. You see what I'm saying?
And that's why you won't see him go onto those shows. That's why he won't come on and have that conversation with Vicki and go run circles around her, as he said. That's why he wouldn't come onto my show. That's why, because he knows what we're going to say. He knows we're going to call him out for his bullshit. Long story short, Roland Martin was corrupt. He was corrupt. And then at one point, it wasn't even just about voting Democrat. It was about voting for the corporate establishment Democrat. People forget, but Roland Martin heavily attacked Bernie supporters. He was one of those people. So at the end of the day, he's corrupt. And that's why he avoids these conversations.
With his funny looking self. He literally shucked and jived and danced with Hillary Clinton and told Hillary Clinton the way she gonna get the black vote is by dancing and because she didn't know how to do the shuffle. Now, he did some kind of scary gyration. Somebody put some basketballs in the chat. So I can't say, I don't pretend like I'm some extraordinary dance or anything like that, baby, but I don't know what that was he was doing. So somebody just put a basketball in the chat. I can't say that was dancing. It was some kind of rolling. That's what his name is, Roland. It's the etymology of the word rolling. When you look at Roland's name, R-O, the root word of Roland, R-O, roll. That's where you get the word rolling from. You understand? Rotund, round. He's in that family of words. Do you understand? And as the reject that he is, beloved, when he came on the scene in terms of humanity in society, or even a human being, because how many of y'all know mankind is different from human beings? It's a kind of a man. That's why they call him mankind. Talk black to be them folks. We're gonna leave it right there. Well, Roland, beloved, is little Charlie, little 3, 4, 5-year-old white boy got lost in a park one day, and it was a bunch of lakes and bodies of waters in a park. A lot of greenery, a lot of trees and stuff, a lot of bushes and stuff, a lot of little animals and stuff. And so the little white boy little Charlie, he got lost in the forest, in that little park forest. And his mom, little Becky, was searching all over for him. And she was like, Charlie, where are you? She found him. She was so distressed, but at the same time, she was so happy because she thought that her little child got snatched up. Well, he found this thing that emerged from this lake that he was near. And he said, Mommy, it was rolling. It's round. It's rotund. I can bounce it. Can we take it home? And the lady, she wasn't in her right mind because she was upset, but she was also overjoyed that she found her child, that the child wasn't kidnapped or snatched. So she just was like, yes, but what would we feed it? She said, all we got is kibbles and pigs. So they was like, okay, that'll do. We'll take it home. We'll take it home and raise it. So this is Roland's origin. You understand? This is in him. So when he acts erratic, he's moving real funny. You know what I'm saying? He come in and out like he's got consciousness and he out of consciousness, and he start cussing us out, calling us simple Simon MFers because we want reparations. Then he starts attacking us and he starts lying to his audience. You understand? That's because of who he was raised by, them folks. He was raised up on kibbles and bits, which is not healthy. Talk back to me, somebody. And so when he does this erratic stuff like calling my name out, beloved, it's giving just real uncivilized vibes to it. You understand? Like real, what's the word I'm looking for? Husky. Just real husky, just husky. And so because Roland is rejected from the Democrat Party, he didn't get all the interviews he thought he was going to get. He didn't get the trash can office, janitorial, DNC. He's humiliated. CNN don't want him back. Mainstream media don't want him back. The Black Network News One, he used to have a show. They don't want him. Nobody want him. So out of desperation, he was forced to come to social media, stay on social media. And even when he
Pause here for a second. This is important for people to understand. At the end of the day, a lot of this come down to money. Roland is mad at them, not just because Kamala didn't win, but also because Kamala didn't win. They messing with his money. You see how this works? See, a lot of people don't know these things. Like some of these commentators that bring these politicians on, they've already made like some type of agreement with them, or the politician has already offered them something that if they win, like, yeah, I would love to have you a part of my administration, or maybe we'll put you in, on diversity, such and such, or maybe we'll put you as, I don't know, the HUD director or something like that. A lot of times there's already been conversations about these things that happen behind the scenes. They'll never tell you about it. So Roland feels as though they are messing with his money, honey. And that's what a lot of this is really about. But she's right. Yeah, he can't go back. He can't go back and get a job back at CNN. And then apparently, I guess something happened also with when he was on TV1. He got kicked from that too. It seemed like he just getting kicked off places. I don't know. But the reality is, yeah. And it's weird to me too, because like I said, he has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Why are you whining? I don't know. We don't know what all the expenses are that are around his show. I mean, I run something very simple, or a little bit more simpler over here, as you guys can tell. But we don't know how much money he's putting into production or anything like that. I don't know. But a lot of this comes down to money. That's why he was dancing with Hillary Clinton.
He got us on social media. He pretended like it was something, tried to run up the numbers so it looked like he's relevant. And then when they look at the end of the day, they saw how everybody was listening to the nobodies, like the Vicki Dillards of the world, instead of him, right? It looked like he had numbers that was, some folks will say trumped up, but we'll leave that alone. They realized he don't have no power. And what is it? You see, what is it? Then y'all know he was live one day, and when he was live, I know how this works, because I got, my own devices and stuff like that. And so sometimes you may click on something. But when Roland clicked on something, he clicked on some footage he had of a man's bussy that was twitching down the road. And folks was like, well, you said you're married to a black woman that's a pastor or preacher or something, but you got bussies on the, okay, if that's you, that's you. But why is this on the live channel like that? And why did we catch you with this man's behind twitching like, oh, okay, but
it was a butt. It was it was a man's butt on the live stream, like just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and I was like, whoa, what is that? What is that? And then he says, oh, it's just an ad or whatever. Nah, bro, I don't have any. There are no ads of men's butts on my social media or any of my YouTube or anything like that. So I don't know.
These are things that confuse people. I don't get confused because I never get confused when somebody that tries to pass as us. You understand? So all the stuff he said makes no sense. I'm only bringing this to your attention to let you all know that they are still intimidated by power. And this is the reason they do everything they can to try to prevent, frustrate, fall, and to diminish and to marginalize the Vicki Dillards of the world. Yes, beloved, it's not going to work. It's just proof of my assignment on the planet. And yes, we're using unusual means. And I'm going to be announcing even other platforms. Just Sister with the Curly Braids is going to be on. So we're going to continue bit by bit to grow. We're going to continue to seed our message and be consistent. I'm going to continue to run my spiritual school in addition to doing Black town halls bit by bit around this country.
And she goes into what else she's going to do. So these are the kind of things I think people need to understand. Vicki's a part of African Diaspora channel, and they also have an app. They're not just on YouTube. They have their own app. So the thing is this is what I've said before. You find out when it's really about being pro-Black or it's about being pro-Democrat when said people say this is about, I care about Black people, Black issues, and what's impacting the Black community, but they will purposefully try to tear down other members of the Black community because they don't shuck and jive for the Democratic Party. That's not pro-Black, that's pro-Democrat. That's what Roland Martin is. And like I said, you don't have to agree with everyone's political positions. You ain't got to agree with everyone's policies. I don't agree politically with everything that Vicki agrees with. I think we have different we have different ideas of strategy or how to get to certain things. I know she don't agree with everything I agree with politically. But like I said, at the end of the day, there's a difference between being pro-Black and pro-Democrat. Roland Martin is pro-Democrat. If Roland Martin was pro-Black, instead of pointing his finger and looking down his nose at all the people like Vicki and the others that he named, he would have engaged in conversation with them. Roland Martin won't do that because his goal is to focus on the Democratic Party and to pull more people over to that way, because that's more money for him. And then hopefully he can get some kind of position for himself on Capitol Hill. That's what it all comes back to. But I experienced it myself. When he came after me, I said, you're more than welcome to come onto my show and have this conversation. Didn't want to do it because he's full of shit. So it's not about that. And you'll see this with others as well. And I've talked about this before. There are a number of people who say, well, I'm here to help the Black community. I want to focus on the Black community, and this is what we should be looking at. But they only want to talk to Black people that are pro-Democrat. And that's part of the reason why we're not getting where we should within the United States. That's the part of the reason why, Black community, we're not getting what is owed to us. That is part of that reason. And I said this before. You ain't got to agree with me politically. That's fine. But don't sit up here and tell me that you're pro-Black and you don't want to talk to Black people that are not shucking and jiving for the Democratic Party. And I'm not even Republican. I don't even vote for the Republican Party. I'm an independent. I voted third party for 2024. So why like that? That's the thing that's hilarious to me. So be very wary of those people who say they pro-Black, but they only want to really talk to Black people that are shucking and jiving for the Democratic Party. That's not pro-Black. You're going to miss a lot of people because the majority of African Americans, majority of Black Americans in this country don't even vote. So that right there is a problem. You're basically telling people you only really want to organize and conversate with other Black people that are voting for the Democratic Party. And then even within that group, there's a focus on boule types, those that are a certain class. Good luck with that coalition, that tiny ass coalition. Good luck with that. So that's a big part of the problem. But I say this, instead of pointing your fingers at other people, at other Black commentators who didn't want to shuck and jive for Kamala Harris, until you do right. This reminds me of the scene from Color Purple when Celie pointed her hand and she said, until you do right by me. Here's the thing. Until the Democratic Party does right by the Black community, they will continue to fail. They will continue to lose. At least on the national level. And some of these local races, like with Mondami, that may be different because as you can see, he was able to win without a large portion of the Black vote. But on the national level, you guys are screwed. Kamala Harris just showed you that. So that's that. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.